Welcome to the Dream Power Show, where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weisman.
Welcome to the Dream Power Show. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weisman, the Dream Coach. This month's show is all about the many ways we can create the positive developments we want to get in our lives. First off, we're going to dive into the value of our dreams with author and dream expert, Patricia Eltinge. And another way we could get insights into our lives is through tarot. And to help us understand how is Tarot Queen Sasha Graham. Then, once we have those insights, it helps to be clear on how to implement them into our lives. And to help us do that is author and coach Becca Ribbing. Ready to start? Let's begin. Okay, everybody, grab your pens and pencils, papers and notebooks. We're all going to school. Dream school, that is. This will be our time to remind ourselves that dreams are a wonderful source of information that are useful in our daily lives for personal growth and transformation. Our instructor today is dream analyst Patricia Eltinge, who has spent decades to providing guidance through her unique gift of dream interpretation. She is also author of the book, The Dream Class, Know Your Dreams, Know Yourself. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Patricia.
How are you? Great to be here with you.
I am fine. I'm so excited to be talking about dreams with you. And my first question actually is just, what got you interested in paying attention to your dreams?
Well, I will first tell you, as a child, I talk about it in my book, The Dream Class. I was kidnapped and molested as a child. And I had what we called nightmares at the time for many, many years. So I grew to be afraid to go to sleep at night. Later, jumped to being an adult after having gotten into the natural healing field on many levels. I ran a holistic health clinic with my former partner for many years, and I'm a certified herbalist, a certified iridologist, and master herbalist. And then I got deeper into psychology and became a transactional analyst, and then refined my work into the dream work, which that was where I really flourished and really felt like that's where I was needed to help others because of my own previous training and seeking as a young person in my 20s, 30s of alleviating my anxieties from my dreams, and realized then I had suffered from PTSD, but it got me deeper into the study of dreams and transactional analysis. So I am a transactional analysis practitioner and specifically a dream expert.
And one of the things that I think you said in your book and talking about nightmares is that you prefer not to call them nightmares, but just scary images.
That's
so
right.
Talk about that.
Okay, well, nightmares seem the connotation of a nightmare is something bad, but my adage is all dreams wish us well, because there are messages that are being given to us from our subconscious mind, bubbling through to our conscious mind to help us with our personal growth and transformation. So there might be scary images coming up for us, but those scary images are just emphasizing that this is an important thing to look at and have it studied. Now, the dreams seem to be, they're not what they seem to be. So people think they're one thing, but actually there are symbols and archetypes, and our dreams come to us in different symbolically. So it's sort of like finding a message in a bottle that came from thousands of miles away. And you're so excited to see what that message is, but it's written in Greek. So you come to a translator to translate the message. Okay, So the messages come in forms, different forms, and every symbol in the dream has a masculine or feminine energy. This is Jung's work, Carl Jung, the famous psychoanalyst. And so my work springboards off of Jung, and I believe Jung would be doing this work if he were to continue. But anyway, so the masculine and feminine in all of us comes through in our dream work. So the masculine images would be things like a horse, a dog, a tree. Okay, those portray masculine images, and masculine things represent our productivity and our work, the way we think, the way we do things. Whereas feminine symbols are, let's say, a cat, a fuzzy bird, a little fuzzy toy, things like that. So that would be a feminine image. And that would be representing our feminine, our feeling centeredness. And so when sometimes we're talking about how we feel about something, we're dreaming about something, we think, or how we're doing something. So we can be talking about our workplace, we can be dreaming about how we're really feeling about circumstances and things, our relationships. So that being said, the images also come in and I go through this in the book step by step, because I teach this work to therapists, and I do workshops for other therapists to understand this in a very methodical way. Anyway, so the images, not only do they have masculine and feminine energies depicting our own masculine and feminine sides, they come in a hierarchy of people, nature, and things. So the lower part of the hierarchy is things, which would be, okay, a table, a car, solid things in life, and that you're the furthest away from getting the message. As it bubbles through a little higher in the hierarchy, we dream in symbols that would be nature. Nature will be animals, landscape, things like that, trees, lakes, okay, nature, weather. Then as we get closer to really being ready to understand the message, we're dreaming of people. So that's the top of the hierarchy as it's bubbling through from our subconscious to our conscious mind.
I want to go back a second to what you just said about, this hierarchy that you talked about. So does that mean that, for example, if you have a dream about, a rock or a car or something like that, it's not as important a dream as a dream about a person?
Not at all. No, it's further away from getting the message. It's just starting to bubble through. It will eventually, your dreams come in waves or in a series. So sometimes you'll be dreaming for a while about a rock, or what you just said, a car. These things, like a car, by the way, it represents your way through life. So depending on the kind of car it is, your rickety old car, and it's like breaking all the time. What's wrong with your way through life? But when you're thinking about things, you're not quite ready to get the message. So we keep ourselves open. And chapter 7 in the book is how to capture your dreams. One of the biggest, most common statements I get is, I don't dream, or if I do, I don't remember my dreams. So I teach techniques on how to capture your dreams. And here's your takeaway for your fans today, you and your fans, whoever is listening. Keep a pad by your bed. And some people keep like a recording device, but you know what? There's nothing like an old-fashioned pad and pen, because you can refer back to it more easily, and you can keep a log of your stuff that's coming up through. And so you keep a pad by the bed, you tell yourself as you're going to sleep, this is the very beginning stage. I'm going to remember my dreams. I'm going to remember my dreams, because at the stage between wake and sleep and wake, it's called the Lyman state. It's the state of consciousness between sleeping and waking. So, and it only lasts 3 to 4 minutes. So when you tell yourself you're going to remember your dream, you keep the pad and ped by the bed. Upon waking, you don't open your eyes. You are in the Lyman state. You catch yourself waking up. You know, you wake up in the morning, first thing you want to do is open your eyes. If you don't open your eyes, the second you open your eyes, you're out of the Lyman state. If you keep your eyes closed, you can remain in the Lyman state for 3 to 4 minutes maximum. So that's when you can capture the dream. So you know where your pad is next to you. You scribble, oh, I saw a cat. Just put cat, mountain, tree. It's enough. You then can, once you open your eyes and wake up, you can start saying, oh yeah, I was in the mountains and a cat crossed my path and da da da, and there's a little story there. But if you get the key symbols that you saw upon waking while you were in that Lyman state, this is how you develop your dream reading technique. So that being said, you don't have to do anything at first, but capturing your dreams is the initial part of it. So you can then go to another stage and learn from the book or a dream reader like me, and you then can learn how to decipher the symbols and then relate to what aspect of my life, what part of my femininity is, up in, why am I vacillating between my head and my heart, with it in the mountains and a cat, so there are ways that then we can help you translate these images. But dreaming and learning to capture your dreams is like, it's like learning an instrument. When you learn an instrument, you have to practice. So I tell people, I have people who've been working with me for years, and years before when they said they never dreamt, and now they're all, whoa, these flourishing dreams with what they have become. What I do is help people get in touch with their own sixth sense. So when you become really in touch with your dream life, you are really honing your own sixth sense, being in touch with it. And that's what the techniques bring you to. So it's like learning how to play the guitar, learning how to play tennis, learning how to golf. You don't just go there and think you can do it.
No, absolutely. It's, I always also equate it to like exercising and getting your muscles in shape. You have to repeat it. You have to repeat it to get it.
So we keep this pad by the bed forever, as far as I'm concerned, forever. I have volumes of.
So when you're looking at dreams, do you just look at one dream at a time, or do you look at several to find a pattern first?
I find they come in patterns, and again, a lot of times in threes. Really, you'll have a person will have 3 dreams once they get better at remembering them. They because it's starting to bubble through at the lower levels first with symbols that seem more abstract, and then the second dream, but the running theme will be the same. One of my clients has a business he's involved with partners, and he might be dreaming, but he's also a boater. So a lot of things things in his dream are boats and things like that. He relates to that. So this is why the old dream dictionaries really don't work, because dreams are individual and we have individual things we relate to. So this fellow relates to boats. So even though it's about his business is, his boat is going down a highway. Well, that's very abstract, but that, so then the next dream would be, then by the third dream, the people are in the dream, but they're really aspects of himself, because everything in your dreams is an aspect of yourself. So he is in a situation at one time where a lot of decisions, it was a very big company and a lot of decisions had to be made. So the partners are this, some of them want this way to go and some of them want, sounds like our government, want this way to go, some want this way to go. And when he comes to the meeting, he's got all this clarity of what he really has come to clarity through this dream work. And they said to him on both sides, they said, what are you, some kind of like psychic all of a sudden? And they knew, and they followed his lead, and it was the right decision, because he knew between his instinct, which is feminine, feeling centeredness, and his intellect, which is his intuition, he's able to connect the dots of how he feels and how he thinks with what's going on in the outside world. And it really is honing your sixth sense.
Patricia, I'm just wondering, not every dream that everyone has every night is going to have a deep meaning or have great insights. But have you ever had what I would like to call a great dream that you keep coming back to, that stays with you?
Yes, absolutely. And those are the most impacting. But sometimes people really overlook something that seems insignificant. Sometimes it's just one symbol. And I talk about it in my book. I had a symbol, and it was just an image in a room of a cat dehydrated, it looked like it was dehydrating and dying of dehydration or something. It was all shriveling up like this, and his tongue hanging out. And that's all the dream was. It seems like a nothing dream. There was no scenario. Didn't seem like a big deal, except it was a very dramatic image. Well, it was a time in my life many years ago, 30 something years ago, where I was really overdoing it, overcommitting. And that told me my feminine was being neglected. My feminine side, I was not taking care of my body. The body is feminine, the mind is masculine. So I was doing everything to succeed, be successful, be business, do. And it was a very sharp image and an awakening, but it was just one little image in the dream.
I have just time for one final question, which is, how can people find out more about you and your work?
Well, the website is up. It's Mercury in retrograde, but it's back up now. It's thedreamclass.com. My book is, again, The Dream Class, Know Your Dreams, Know Yourself. And my name, Patricia Eltinge, and The Dream Class can be found on Amazon, and all 5-star reviews are welcome.
We've been speaking with dream analyst Patricia Eltinge. We'll be right back with our next guest. We're going to take a dive into the magical world of tarot. One of the things I love about tarot is that I see it as a complement to dreams. When we dream, we tap into our unconscious mind, and the symbols we dream are best understood in how we as individuals interpret them. Well, the same goes with tarot. There are established meanings to each card, but how we understand them is ultimately up to us. Our guide today into this mystical realm is Sasha Graham. She's a tarot master who calls herself a storyteller. Sasha's goal is to make tarot reading simple and fun for everyone. She's taught tarot all over the world and has written tons of books and tarot decks, including her latest, The Magic of Tarot. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Sasha.
Hello.
So, Sasha, is a new book out now?
Yes, it just was released just a couple of days ago, and I'm so excited. It sold out on Amazon immediately.
Why did you call it The Magic of Tarot?
Because the book, while it's a great beginner book on how to use tarot, I also dive into how to use tarot for magical spells, literally. And a lot of people kind of put tarot and magic in two separate camps. Really, they're one and the same thing. I mean, you just to open up a pack of cards, you're engaging in magic, whether you realize it or not. So I was happy to just talk about that.
So you talk about spells. I mean, really, like what kind of spells?
Any kind of spell your heart could ever desire. So like everything's there in the cards, right? The cards are really this wonderful prism with which you can examine yourself. You can look at the context of your life. But because the cards are visual and they're very symbolic, they're perfect for magic. So if you think about why dream boards, right, work so well, or vision boards, when you're cutting out images from a magazine and words of things that you want to bring into your life. I mean, they're highly effective. You leave that out, right, theoretically, so that you see it and you're reminded of the things that you want to manifest and bring in. You can do the same thing with a tarot card or the few tarot cards. So it's really simple, effective, easy magic that I was very excited to write about. But I also have a section on dream work.
Oh, really? Tell me about that part.
I do. I was just thinking about that as you said that. So I love to analyze dreams, and tarot is a wonderful device to take that even one step further. So in my book, this is the book right here. In the book, I have a section where I created a tarot dream oraculum, where you write down a dream that you had, and then there's like a little formulation where you put your age and the date, and then you numerically break it down, and you arrive at major arcana cards. And so your dream is connected to the themes in those cards, so you can kind of interpret it a little on a deeper level.
Oh, wow. I have to delve into that because that sounds fascinating. Something I would have a lot of fun doing as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of fun, since you were last on the program, I've gotten into the habit of pulling a card each morning. Well, at least as many mornings as I actually remember to do it. And for me, it gives me some guidance on how things can be during the day. It makes me more mindful of how things could be during the day. Is that a good way to look at it?
I think that what you said is so perfect, because really when you pull a card every single day, it really is it is active mindfulness and contemplativeness, because in order to just kind of get the message from the card, it requires you to take a moment, clear your mind, take a breath. You kind of take stock of, okay, my day is kind of unfolding before me. What's on the decks, right? Like what's going on for me today? What do I need to know from this card? It may take you 30 seconds to do that. But you're taking 30 seconds, 60 seconds to do that and pulling a card. And then you're opening up and saying, so what's the message? What do I need to look out for? Just that act in and of itself changes the trajectory of your entire day. And it's an incredibly powerful thing to do, and it's simple. And I think that sometimes the simplest things can be the most effective. So that's a very good example of tarot magic. You've already changed. You're already coming from a place of curiosity as you begin your day, no matter what you have going on. And that's powerful.
Right. And since I love to use examples, I'm going to show you and tell our audience the card that I pulled this morning, which is the King of Wands.
Oh,
And for me, and again, it's just my interpretation of it, was that I said, this is a wonderful omen for me because, I'm talking to you today, I'm talking to some other people today. And in terms of doing a show, I want to be prepared and I want to be, not sound like I know what I'm talking about. That sort of taps into my masculine side or the king side of me. And with the sword, I have my weapon, my knowledge, my brain, and I have it ready for the attack.
Yes. And even that energy of fire that the King of Wands represents. And look at you, you're sitting there and you've got these gorgeous red tones and this like beautiful, fiery, passionate quality going on in you. So, oh, I love that. That's such a great way. That's such a great interpretation.
Oh, good. But like you said, it's what it means to me is really what's important, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody else could have that King of Wands card and come up with something else.
I mean, a million different things, it's an ironic thing because I teach classes and I write tarot books, but I always the first thing I tell these students is throw your books out the window, because really tarot it is about what you see in the card, and so while there are preset meanings, and those are great when you want to study and go deeper into the art of tarot, and you should, if you dig it, if you're into it, but it's about the message that you're getting, that you're receiving, and each of us are different, yeah.
And along those lines, you say that tarot cards can be used as medicine.
Yes.
What would you mean by that?
So, all right, we can use the King of Wands since you just pulled him up. So each and every card, none of the cards are actually just pieces of paper, right? There's an energy, there's an archetype behind the card. The same way if you read a book, a book has a consciousness. If you look at the calendar, your day looks flat on a calendar, but your experience of the day is very rich. There's a richness inside cards. There's an energy and an intelligence behind each tarot card. So literally the same way you might work with plant medicine, right? Perhaps you would work with lavender or rosemary for some special effect. You can do the same thing with tarot. So for the King of Wands, say you had something coming up where you wanted to be very magnetic, passionate, kind of assured, expressive, expansive, you could literally kind of take a soft gaze, jump inside of that card, commune with the energy, and kind of put him on, or put his energy on, or infuse yourself with that energy and take it with you through the day, and to apply it to any place that you would want to have those qualities. So you can literally kind of jump inside of a card, commune with the card, and kind of imbue yourself with those qualities and take them with you throughout your day. And it's a really powerful thing that you can do.
Well, let's go to something that you're also very passionate about, which is talking about the shadow side of tarot. So that's holding it upside down, or holding it, coming upside down. What would the shadow side of this card be?
So the way that I prescribe working with the shadow is it takes a bit of guts, because I think that we who read tarot, we use it to see the things that we're not conscious of, right? We're tarot readers, or we pull the cards to see the things that we're not aware of. So the shadow is something that either you're repressing about your own personality, or it literally is something that you're just not aware of. So a reversed King of Wands would, if you were going to use the reversal to indicate a shadow quality, then it would imply perhaps standing so much in your power and being so kind of assertive that you are blocking out the light of another person, right? Or you are kind of putting your light where it is not needed, where you're kind of being bullish to the point at which somebody else is suffering because of what you're doing. That would be a shadow side of the King of Wands.
Okay. You also have an exercise that you have people do that can help them figure out what their most important shadow trait is. So can you walk us through that?
Yeah. And again, this is one of those things that is so It's simple and it's helpful. And it's something I continually do kind of throughout my year. I'm constantly checking in. So everything in life is a projection. And so in order to kind of figure out what you're unaware of, there's this thing called the 5 things exercise, where you literally make a list of 5 things that other people do that drive you insane, like that drive you crazy. So the 5 things that bother you most, it may be somebody you know, it may be a celebrity or something you see in your daily life, but make a list of like 3 to 5 things and then circle the thing that makes you craziest. What just makes you go, and whatever it is that you circled is actually a quality that you're exhibiting that you need to learn to integrate for yourself, because that's why it's catching your attention. That's why it's getting your goat. That's why it's making you crazy, because that's what's inside of you. Once again, it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, but when you really do it and you look at yourself honestly, and then you begin the work of integration, it slips away and that behavior doesn't bother you anymore. And then it's gone and you're kind of free. Yeah, that's the beauty of shadow work. It keeps you, shadow work keeps you honest, and we all justify everything that we do. And it improves your relationships with yourself and with other people, I think.
Because I think the most important part of it is that it gives you greater self-awareness. And once you have that,
Yes.
you can take it from there.
Yeah. Because we're not all perfect people, and we're not all good all of the time. Not that we should be, but shadow work teaches you also not to be afraid of some of the not so nice parts about yourself. And then as a result, you're kind of better for it. Yeah. I love shadow work. That's why I created the Darkwood Tarot is meant specifically to dive into the shadow self. Yeah.
Sasha, a lot of people, when they think about tarot, they think about fortune telling and things like that, but you don't really use tarot to predict the future, do you?
No, I don't. And let me first say there's nothing wrong with using it that way. And of course, that's the way I used it when I first started. I was like, ooh, let's see what's going on, what's going to happen for myself and for my friends. But using tarot, especially if you're reading for yourself, to predict the future is kind of in a way silly, in that we all have such autonomy in our life and power over our destiny. So it's such a stronger and more compelling thing to use the cards to kind of create the destiny that we desire, because you can really use them and sort of like take the temperature of what's going on in your life, and then kind of figure out, all right, where do I need to apply a little pressure? What do I need to let go of? To have the future that I desire, have the qualities that I want in my life. Because if you're just using the cards to kind of tell you what's going to happen next week, well, then where's the fun of living your life? It's much more interesting to use them in a metaphysical way, to use them in a practical way, and to use them in a magical way. Use them to make new possibilities, to create new things in your life that you could never imagine.
Tell me, what would you do if you're doing a reading for somebody and you see things that on the surface seem negative?
Oh, I would start to talk about, you mean negative? So if somebody sits down, you can pretty much, like any of us would sit down and kind of vibe off the energy of a person who is sitting across from us. So you immediately begin to pick up things before you even pull some cards. So and regardless of the person's energy, if you see dark cards, you start talking about, okay, I see that there's some blockages right now in the way that you're thinking about your life. And it seems like, I always bring it back to the person's responsibility. I don't turn it into something that is outside of their control, because things happen that are beyond our control, but we all have power in how we respond to the things that happen to us. So that's where I would take the reading. So if it was financial negativity or darkness, I would say, let's talk about your finances. And this card is suggesting that this might be a little bit blocked. Why don't we pull a card to find out how we can open that up for you? And the same for love and career and all that stuff. Yeah. So you just bring it back to what a person can actively do so they walk away from the reading feeling empowered.
Well, when it comes to tarot, I think the best way we can learn about it is through practice. So, would you mind pulling a couple of cards and telling us in general terms what they mean?
Yeah, sure. So I love the tarot practice. So I'm pulling from my dark wood. Oh, and so right here we have the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords, all of the fives in tarot are challenge cards. It's the halfway point between the ace, which is one, and the 10, which is the finale. And so if you think about the halfway point of any book, or the half, like the middle movie of any movie trilogy, it's always the challenge. So that's why you see right there a woman sort of throwing daggers into another woman's back, because swords represent words, our mind, how we speak to other people, how we allow other people to treat us. That's actually a very tough card. But essential. Don't shy away from the scary cards in a tarot deck, or the hard cards, right? Oh, here we have Justice. Justice is the work card. She's the karma card. She's about the work that you put into a situation, or anything is kind of what you receive in return. So she keeps you on point. She'll keep you honest. We have another sword card, the Four of Swords. Traditionally, fours are about stability, and this is the stability of the mind. However, for my Darkwood Tarot, I wanted to make a nefarious Four of Swords, because traditionally the figure on the Four of Swords is sleeping peacefully, but I thought I'd bring in sort of like a scoundrel who is ready to like abscond the maiden, but she's ready for him. She's just pretending to be asleep.
Well, is that because you wanted it to be challenging and dealing with the shadow side?
Yeah, that's exactly why. That's precisely why. And that's why we made the deck that to be like very sensual and kind of fairy tale gothic, because if I was inviting people to come in and work with these dark parts of themselves, I wanted them to be kind of seduced in. I wanted it to be kind of a familiar fairy tale place where it's, in a fairy tale, it's okay. It's okay to confront your fears. It's okay to confront your dark stuff. It's going to end up okay. So that's why I chose a fairy tale theme for this. And this is the Empress card, which is creativity and nurturing and sensuality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the tarot, talk about the deck itself. So the deck is divided into the major arcana and the minor arcana. When I hear the words major and minor, does that mean that the minor deck cards are not as important?
Well, it means that it's kind of like the majors are all, and there's only 22 majors, are all those like, they are major cards. They're those soul shaking cards. They're those moments where you're changed forever. They are those monumental things in our life. Whereas the minors are like just your daily life here and there, like what happens in between those big moments. But they work together beautifully. And the power of tarot really lays in its structure. And that's why in tarot, not in oracle cards, but in tarot cards, you can put all of these esoteric systems, astrology, Kabbalah, magic, Hermeticism, Rosicrucianism, all kinds of things can be layered into tarot because of its structure. So it's very unique and it's very powerful.
How can people find out more about you and your work?
They can go to sashagraham.com is my sort of home base website. You can order books, read articles, all kinds of stuff. Find all of my social media through sashagraham.com. I'm very active on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook too.
We've been speaking with tarot master and author Sasha Graham. We'll be right back with our next guest. I live in the country. One of the things my husband and I love to do is to ride around our property on the trails he's built up over the years. Early in the summer, right after one of those massive rainfalls we had, we went on a ride and we drove over some ground that was softer than we expected. Before we knew it, we were stuck. the back wheels had dug themselves in, and they were spinning round and round and round, creating a rut where none had been before. My husband tried to maneuver the vehicle and got it to move a little this way, maybe a little that way, but it wasn't enough to really get it going. Eventually, he had to get at our tractor to tow the vehicle out of the jam we put ourselves in. I see this little incident as a metaphor for the holes we often put ourselves in. There are times when we're struggling with issues that may not have snap solutions, and then we feel ourselves stuck in that miasma of uncertainty. And if we do nothing about it, we might even resolve to stay in that place for the rest of our lives. But my next guest says it doesn't have to be that way. Becca Ribbing is a coach and author of The Clarity Journal, and her mission is to help women stop going around in circles and to find the answers to what they're searching for in their lives. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Becca.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Becca, why do you think people get stuck in that cycle of uncertainty?
I think that people get stuck in that cycle because we are almost trained to get stuck in it from childhood. When we are kids, we have all of these great aspirational dreams, and we listen to the adults around us, and a lot of the adults around us are constantly talking about how much they don't like their job, how much they wish they were doing something different. And so we start getting socialized to kind of make ourselves smaller. And then we go to school. And when we're in school, we usually have something we're good at and a couple things we're not so good at. And when we're in class, when we get report cards, the teachers are always focused on what you can do better. They aren't focused on, hey, this is an amazing strength of yours. You should really focus on this. Instead, they're telling you, oh, you really should stop talking so much in class. Oh, you seem behind in math. You're not trying hard enough. And by the time we get out of high school, we've just heard this so much that we start to believe it for ourselves. And instead of really seeking out our strengths and really validating them and owning them, we end up making ourselves smaller and smaller because that's kind of how we've been taught. And so I believe that to break out of that cycle, we really need to get back in touch with ourselves and really value all aspects of ourselves and all parts of ourselves, but also really value our dreams. And I'm on a mission to help people do that.
Now, I may have the numbers wrong, the amount of numbers, but something like, we think something like 90,000 thoughts a day, and 75 to 80% of them are negative thoughts. And do you think it's that focus on that keeps us just believing that we can't as opposed to we can?
I think it's partially that. And then I think it's also partially that we are scared of our negative thoughts. And so when we have a negative thought, we try to push it away instead of really face it head first. And when we can start really paying attention to the negative thoughts, then you can actually counteract them. But if you really are trying to avoid them in the first place, you don't see it and you just keep kind of careening from one thing to the next.
Do you see any particular themes or any personality traits for those who mostly are the ones who can't figure out what they want?
That's a really good question. I feel like a lot of them say they don't know. Like if I start talking to someone who is really stuck and doesn't know what they want, they spend so much time talking about how they don't know. But when I really get into it with them, when I really start talking one-on-one, it becomes very obvious that they actually do know. What it is they haven't decided. They know a range of things that they would like. Usually it's between 2 or 3 things they're trying to decide about. But because they're so focused on not knowing, they don't even really tackle that decision-making process. They are stuck in, I don't know.
And it also brings up the whole idea of fear. they're afraid to make that decision.
Right. Because it might be the wrong decision. And I think that that's the other thing. I think we feel like, going back to my school analogy, we feel like there is a right and a wrong decision, because in school, you're either going to get an A or you're not. And so we get into the real world and we feel like we should be making a right decision. But the problem is both of the decisions you're probably trying to choose between probably are 80% decisions. You're not going to get to a place of, this is 100% the right decision and that other decision is 0%. Like, there's just no way that would work. You've already filtered out everything that is just totally not viable, you don't want to do. You don't even think about those things. So the things that you are thinking about, the things you are going back and forth and circling about, they both could be valid answers. The real question is, what uses more of your strengths? What leads you to where you want to be long term? Because I think the other reason why we stay stuck is we feel like this answer needs to be the answer for the next 30, 40 years. Like, what do I want to do with my life? When you ask that, it's your life. It's however long you're going to be working, as opposed to, what do I want to do for the next 3 years? And how would that lead me in the direction of where I want to go?
And the other part of that for me is, and this also goes into what I do with helping people understand their dreams, is, a dream is an interesting idea. It's an interesting story, but it doesn't really mean anything. It won't have an effect on you unless you take action on it. And it's the same thing with any thoughts we have. If we even have those, you said a person deciding between two different ways to go and doesn't do anything because they don't take action on either of them. So
Right.
how do you get somebody to take action?
Well, I think that part of the process for me is really helping people figure out why it is they're having a hard time taking action, because our brains are very smart and subtle. So your brain is going to have a really hard time taking action if it feels like you might change your mind in a month and that action is going to be wasted. So I feel like the first part really is gaining that clarity, and then also getting comfortable with starting friction. Because I think once we start getting started on our dreams, we're doing something new, and there's inevitably going to be things you have to learn, things that aren't as comfortable as what you were doing before, things that you need to really work around and maybe hire out or get help with. I think that's also another big thing, now that I think about it, is that we don't ask for help at the beginning oftentimes. And we don't, when we get stuck, we don't ask for help. And that gets us really gummed up when we're starting to go for a dream, because it means so much to us. We so don't want to fail. But on the other hand, it's also like this precious little baby, and we aren't giving it its what it needs to really grow organically, strongly, and quickly.
But you bring up a very interesting point. I know for me, I really didn't get myself unstuck until I really started to just take that action and decide to take the action, and to really, actually, you said, make the decision to do it.
Right. Because when you're stuck in indecision, you're just not going to have the momentum you need.
Mm-hmm. So when people tell you that they're stuck, how do you get them unstuck?
I spend a lot of time listening and making sure that the person really hears within themselves what is holding them back. Because I am a big believer in mindfulness. And a lot of times when people talk about mindfulness, they're talking about meditation. And then a lot of times we've westernized meditation and we skip over that part where you're supposed to actually notice everything that's going on within yourself and outside yourself. And we skip straight to the, okay, let go of the thoughts, let go of the thoughts, let go of the thoughts. And so I really try to help people come back to really listening to themselves, like really noticing when they're reacting to something. And then working with it, whether that is journaling, whether that is noticing that they are stuck, and then really figuring out what it was that was the trigger. I think that a lot of times we're so used to the like, just do it, push through it, like boot camp mentality that we have in the West. And we don't pause enough to really just notice.
Mhm. That's the hardest thing for people because everybody wants answers right now, you know, and
Yeah,
it's
everyone wants answers right now.
Mhm. So, and you said earlier you help people, really find their dreams. Do you ever work with their actual dreams?
I
That help them?
don't. And that's why I was so excited to come on this podcast, because when I was reading it before I signed up, I was like, this is so interesting, because it really does. When we are dreaming, especially when we're in a lot of angst, when we're stuck in that uncertainty, like, I don't know, I wake up from these really powerful dreams sometimes, and then I kind of forget about them.
Well, I think dreams are, for me, and I hope to people who are listening to this, one of the best ways to really figure out what we want. I mean, you
Yeah.
can actually do, something called dream incubation, where before you go to bed, you know, journal about it, write down what is it that I want. It could even be as simple a question as what is it that I want? And put that little piece of paper you wrote under your bed, repeat that question to yourself before you go to sleep. And if you remember your dreams, and for some people that's easy, for some people it's a struggle, but if you remember your dreams, you will have a dream that will help you get that clarity.
I love that. I really do. Because I think that like a lot of times, like, what I am talking about is like kind of getting into your subconscious mind and really shining a light on it. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
So, Becca, you wrote a book called The Clarity Journal to help people figure out how to get what they want. So, what inspired you to write it?
So I was talking to a friend because I was at my own crossroads. I had my second child maybe 2 years ago, and my second child is lovely. But back then he was a very high needs baby. He had a lot of ear infections. He just had a lot going on. And I felt really stuck. I had, when he was born, given up. Was running a mindfulness website where I had 90 authors writing for me, and I loved it. And as soon as he was born, it just didn't work out for me to continue doing all of that extra work on top of my coaching. And so, 2 years go by, and I really was trying to figure out how to get back to what it was that really made me tick, as opposed to that early babyhood, just trying to get everything done, keep everybody alive. And so as I was going back and forth with my friend, she finally stopped me and she was like, Becca, you're a coach. What would you tell yourself? And it made me stop and really think, because I wouldn't tell my clients what to do. I would ask them a lot of questions to help them figure it out themselves, to help kind of guide them through the process of really owning what they want to do. I don't tell anyone what to do. I help them move through the process. And so as I was writing out all these questions, I think in the first hour, I had 30 questions written down, and I started working on them. And I realized how powerful it was just to get out of your own mind and answer someone else's questions to you, like to really think about your problem in a different way. And so it actually helped me really rediscover my writing, and that actually was a core thing I wanted to be doing. And so I ended up running with it and creating this as my first book.
Mhm. And so, what advice is there in this journal that helps people find their clarity?
So there's not a ton of advice. There is like a little mini blog post length chapter summary at the beginning of each chapter to help move you through. But what it is 100 writing prompts and quotes to kind of help jar your own thought process loose and help you get aha moments. One of my favorite questions in the Clarity Journal is, who do you envy and what does that tell you about yourself? Because I find that people only envy someone that really their heart speaks to at a certain level. Like you don't, if you're a writer, you don't envy all writers. You probably envy like 3 specific authors who did something unique or who have a unique lifestyle or something really resonates about how they are living. If you wanted to be a musician, I'd say the same thing. You don't envy everyone. You don't even envy everyone in the genre you want to be in. You envy very specific people. And I think that really, instead of pushing away our envy, really analyzing it can help us understand better who we are and who we want to be.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that you phrase those in questions that people have to answer for themselves, because so often people want somebody else to give them the answer. And it never really works that way. I mean, they
Oh,
may get away, they may get some piece of advice that sounds good, but then you're right, at that point they don't run with it because they're not feeling it in their heart.
right. Well, and it's also why people hire coaches versus just talking to your family and friends. Because oftentimes when you're talking to a family or friend, they have an idea. Sure, I'll tell you what to do. Like we all have family and friends would be very happy if you came to them and said, "Hey, what should I do with my life?" They will give you an hour-long rendition about what you should be doing differently. So, and it falls flat because it's not coming from within.
Mhm. So by answering these questions, you would say somebody who is looking at this and answers the questions, by the time they get through, will have a much better idea of what it is that they want.
Right. And I think that as they start going through it, some questions will speak to them and some questions won't. The idea is to have a lot of questions so they can flip through and really figure out what calls to them, because whatever jumps out of the page and calls to you is really what you need to be focusing on.
How can people find out more about you and your work?
You can find me at beccaribbing.com. Becca is Becca. Ribbing is Ribbing. And you can also find the Clarity Journal on Amazon.
We've been speaking with author and coach Becca Ribbing. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. If you have, please tell all your friends, follow me, and drop a positive review on your podcast site. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector Weisman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.